Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until the sequel Tears of the Kingdom comes out in 142 days. And I just realized something. When I press plus here, I have the Royal Guard boots equipped. And I realized that I actually don't have the DLC installed anymore. This is something that I do occasionally when I try to speedrun the 100% category. In that category, you are not allowed to have the DLC installed. Because if you have the DLC installed, your run is basically not valid. You would have to do... There's two different categories, normal 100% and 100% plus DLC. And they count as different categories. Now, the thing is, the DLC has been out for around 4 years or something. And these boots just basically reminded me of it. And also a question that I receive almost every single day when I speedrun 100% on my Twitch channel. There's two questions that come up. First, do you have to do the DLC in this run? And the answer is like I just explained, no. That would be the 100% extended category, which I'm planning to do in the future because it does feel like the ultimate speedrun to also include the DLC. Unfortunately, in terms of speedrunning, it's actually not that good. Because, for example, for the Trial of the Sword, in order to go fast to the Trial of the Sword, you have to do something called the Trial of the Sword skip, where you basically go out of bounds and then you kill the final boss of each trial, which is like a Hinox. Maybe you've seen that before, with a metal box, and it's just not very fun. But it does also add a bunch of pretty cool things. For example, all of the armor, which is nice to have. You actually get to dress up Link in a cool way, and obviously the 16 shrines from the Champion's Ballad. Well, the second question that I get all the time though is the Breath of the Wild DLC worth it? And even though I'm not a review channel or anything, and I'm a speedrunner and not known for my casual play, I wanted to review the Breath of the Wild DLC in today's episode briefly and tell you if I still recommend it. Some people are still getting into this game, have just gotten into the game and have maybe not played or bought the DLC yet. So I'm just gonna give you my quick thoughts on it and whether I recommend it or not. Now, I'm not gonna go into the DLC separately. Technically, there's two DLCs that add different things, but I'm just gonna talk about the season pass, so the one big DLC. What does it add? What do I think? So, first of all, the thing that the DLC adds is Master Mode. Master Mode, while it seems to be very popular, so Master Mode is basically just a more difficult version to play the game. You can switch to it by going to the menu, and you will have a separate Master Mode file. It's not your main file, like you'll start a new game in Master Mode, and a bunch of things change. You only get to have one autosave at a time, where if you see I have a bunch of autosaves here in my normal mode playthrough. Enemies, when you fight them, will recover health over time. And enemies scale up to the golden level where they do a little bit more damage and have more health. Now, I'm not a big Master Mode fan. The reason I'm not a big Master Mode fan is because it seems, and I've talked about this in the previous video and people agreed with me, it seems very much just thrown in there. It seems like there's not much thought to it. Also, by the way, there's some flying platforms with chests and enemies on it randomly. I guess that's where there's more small details, like you don't have something called one-shot protection. Usually, if an attack would one-shot you in this mode, you would be protected from actually getting one-shot. That's not in Master Mode. There's more small details. I'm not a big fan. It seems like that in many contents in this game, when you do them in Master Mode, like the Calamity Ganon boss fight or some things in the Trial of the Swords, they don't necessarily seem harder, they just seem more annoying and RNG, like random heavy. And that's just not very cool, in my opinion. It just doesn't seem like the developers really playtested Master Mode. They just said, oh, let's put in these multipliers, let's make enemies trickier, and then we ship it. So I'm not a big Master Mode fan. That, in my opinion, is not a good reason to get the DLC. What is a good reason to get the DLC is the Trial of the Sword, which is something that you unlock after completing the Master Sword quest. So after putting the Master Sword, technically if you do the early Master Sword glitch, you can also do the Trial of the Sword. It's this combat challenge in 3 different levels, where you have to basically, it's kind of like the Eventide Island one, you have no equipment, and you go into these 3 trials, and you have to beat enemies. They get progressively harder, so if you die, you lose. You can cheese it pretty easily by having a bunch of health and eating like a 30-minute attack up potion before that. But it's not easy. It's some of the trickiest content in the game, especially in Master Mode for the worst reasons. Like in Master Mode, the challenges is not very balanced at all, especially the beginning trials. It's probably the hardest content you can do without mods, in my opinion, in the game. But for simply that reason, for Breath of the Wild fans, I highly recommend it. Also, it powers up your Master Sword to 60 damage. Permanently, so you don't have to be near by malice enemies like Guardians and Blights. And instead your Master Sword always does 60 damage, and it always glows, which is cool because the Master Sword looks cool when it glows. The challenge itself is great. That's a recommendation. Now, let's get over to some other features. There is the Hero's Path, which is a feature on the map that when you press, I think, the X button, or is it Y? Let me see. It's the X button. I don't have it here because DLC is not installed because I'm doing 100% speedruns. When you press the X button, you can see where you've previously visited. There's like green lines showing your playthrough. Kind of a neat feature, nice to have, not a must. Again, they add a bunch of DLC exclusive armor hidden around Hyrule. Some of it is the coolest armor in the game in terms of looks. So if you're into fashion, I highly recommend that too. And then last but not least, there is the Champion's Ballad. The Champion's Ballad alone is worth the cost of the DLC. What the Champion's Ballad is, it's this additional quest line that basically only unlocks after you've beaten all 4 Divine Beasts, return to the Shrine of Resurrection, and start a whole new quest through all of the areas, finding out more about the champions, unlocking some of the best shrines in the game, probably the best shrines in the game, period, having unique refight challenges against the bosses, unlocking unique cutscenes, and it all culminates in the best dungeon of the game. That alone makes the Season Pass 100% worth it. And if you haven't played the DLC yet, and you like this game, and this is the entire point that I'm trying to make, I think you should definitely get the DLC. The Champion's Ballad alone makes it worth it. There's unique soundtracks, unique cutscenes, unique shrines, which are probably the best in the game, a unique dungeon, which is probably the best in the game, a unique boss fight, which is probably the best in the game. Like, it just literally, in terms of casual playthrough, adds the best content in the game. And then additionally, with the Trial of the Swords and the extra armor sets to explore, if you haven't played the DLC yet, and this is obviously sponsored, imagine Nintendo sponsoring a speedrunner, you, I think, owe it to yourself to play that, if you have the spare change to afford it. I can't actually get the Master Sword right now. However, we could do the good old EMS glitch, I think, because I don't technically need to complete the quest to do this. Also, if you're still struggling with this, I still see comments in my YouTube video about this that are struggling with this glitch. I'm not really sure why. If your campfire looks like this, right? And it's this far away from the Master Sword, it's probably not a good idea to go for this glitch. Basically, the way you can check if it's gonna work is if you have your camera down like this and it says pull, but the trigger right here changes to sit when you look up, that you should be good to go. Unless the campfire turns you around too much when you wake up on the next day, but I think in most cases, as long as I mash A decently fast here, when I wake up I should be able to get the sword. Just as a brief tutorial for that, I guess. And technically, if I wanted to now, the next time if I have the DLC installed, which I don't, the next time I would teleport, the Trial of the Sword would unlock, and I could put the sword back in here to do the Trial of the Sword. Even if I've never gotten the Master Sword the real way. But anyway, just to summarize everything, this is not obviously a detailed review. Champion's Ballad makes the DLC worth on its own. The Trial of the Sword can make you really push your limits when it comes to combat, especially if you try to do it in Master Mode. You have to be really creative and precise in what you do. And that's why overall I give it a big recommendation. Again, the armor also adds something for collectors, people that like dressing up Link in different ways. And all things considered, if you still haven't played the DLC, absolutely do so, in my opinion. Now, because I'm almost done with today's recording, I thought maybe I quickly do this shrine, because I actually kind of have to practice it for my speedrun. There is a specific wind bomb you can do here that is really random. So basically, You just don't open your glider and hope that you land in the right spot, like this, without the fog catching up to you. So this is really random. Sometimes the fog will actually make you void out. Oh, you know what I've never tried is actually using a different rusty shield for this. I don't know why I've never tried this. I feel like it should work just as fine. You know how you're supposed to usually put a rusty shield in there, the one that's over there? What if I put a different one in there? I mean, it should still work, right? Yeah, it does, okay. And then also there's another cool trick that I can quickly explain for this shrine. Just to end the episode on something unique. You can actually grab this chest from the boat and then use the chest to push the boat. By walking into the boat with the chest like this, you basically accelerate the boat fairly quickly. This is something that you may already know, but it's a neat little way to speed up your water traversing sections. I just wanted to briefly rant about the DLC today because I realized that I had these royal boots equipped, even though I don't have the DLC installed. And so many people in my chat room seem to still ask, hey, do you recommend the DLC? Is it worth it? You're somebody that played the game a lot. I am, and I do. Probably the best content you can ask for casually. So it gets my seal of approval. I hope you guys enjoy. Maybe you played the DLC yourself already. I know a lot of you do, and you can let me know your thoughts about it too. And if you haven't, then maybe let me know if you're gonna get the DLC now after this recommendation, and I hope you enjoy it. That being said, 142 days until Tears of the Kingdom. Before we know it, we're in the 130s. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you tomorrow.